Don't text and drive, kids.
Demoted for crimes against humanity.
Do we tag tier 2 in the main Gran Turismo chat whilst you're setting things up?
It should be posted into chat now. Stream link. Hey, we are live, finally. It's actually got into chat, so you can tag if you want. But
Hooray! We're live.
it now, right? It's been that was way too much hassle just to get it to actually work.
It turns out you've just streamed on a random channel.
So I it turns out I have currently got 3 different channels on my PS5, mine and 2 others. I just stream to one random ass channel that the league doesn't even exist for anymore.
Some Russian's gonna be like, what is this? What is this Western propaganda?
Morning. I assume that's Ben that's just jumped into the chat, even though he's on his phone in the middle of his car in the middle of Scotland. You know, definitely things you should be doing. The most the best thing, that legal thing you can do in a car. The most legal thing you can do is watch a stream of racing that actually requires you to watch, so you don't actually know stuff whilst driving a car on the street. That's only gonna ever end well. But yeah, no, we've got a couple. We're going to wait a couple of minutes, let a couple of other people come in. But it is a very early morning comms. Well, it certainly is for me anyway. I don't think I've ever done comms before 10 a.m. in the morning, to be completely honest with you.
I was just thinking, well, since one of our full-time drivers is driving in Scotland, I was trying to find the For Scotland thing, but I can't find it.
Also, Auto, when he sees tier 2, he's got 3 sets of streams before tier 4 even have 2.
Let me mute that. Chat's up.
Pasty saying that my dream. Pasty's actually being able to watch a tier 2 comms. You can't ask on Don's comment.
Well, you should have said spoiler alert, because we wouldn't have read that one then.
It's just gonna be Ben winning every single sprint race for the entire season, and then dying in a feature race. That's all tier 2 is.
Well, Auto's the other way around. Auto loses the sprint race and then wins every single feature. So we got 2 drivers doing the complete polar opposites to each other every single race.
Of course. I love how it's like a 10 a.m. stream and everyone that we've already got 6 people watching, which is more than we would have at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Auto in Honey Badger.
Honey Badger mode. Yes, he is.
Yeah, gets 10th. It gets 10th in the spirit race, getting the point for ending 10th, and then wins the feature.
I mean,
more efficient Honey Badger.
I mean, if he genuinely has a terrible race, and he genuinely does have a terrible race, but we'll see.
Also, just stumbled across the fact that my girlfriend's GT storage also needs to have some deleted because because there
Oh,
are stock
Jesus.
there are stock super. Oh my god, that voice break. There are stock supers on the grid.
There's a stock BMW at the back there as well. Is there a
Because who?
stock McLaren? No, the McLarens are fine.
What,
Yeah,
in fourth? No, that's just. Oh no.
no,
Is
that's
that?
no, that's livery.
Yeah, that's a livery.
So it's full. It's not that full.
There's a livery on that. Oh, there's no livery on the Mazdas. Oh, that other BMW, yeah, you spotted that. Oh, the Ferrari. It just gave up loading in liveries from the 8th position onwards. Oh no,
Oh no,
Bruma's got his. And Hasseldahl's got his, because it just hates the middle of the grid for some fucking reason.
it just hates. It just hates 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 cars.
Five cars in the middle, and then the Supra for Dens.
Yeah.
It's not a
Oh,
Supra,
that's an
it's
FT1.
a FT1, yeah. I keep forgetting that both versions of the Toyota Group 3 are on this grid.
But it's like last season for us. It's like, which one is that? Is that the FT1 or the Supra going up to the side? I can't tell because they look the same.
On the RX Safari, it's so sad, just red. Yeah, it's just red. I'll delete some of the stuff when I load up the feature race, probably in like 20 minutes. But yeah, we've been going for 6 minutes now, so I think, I guess we just did our quick run through the grid, trying to figure out who has and hasn't actually got a livery, but we'll go for it anyway. So you got Ben on pole, Chris in second, Dan in third, Turbo in fourth, Dens in fifth, Perry in sixth. Which I thought the Genesis would be doing. Genesises would be doing better this season, but they're not. Alfaxon in seventh, Filthy in eighth, Pasty in ninth, Claus in 10th, Roblox in 11th, Wesley in 12th, Boomer in 13th, and Asseldot in 14th. No Ross today. Means I can't take the piss out of him. That's depressing.
That is depressing.
There's no chance to even get even. That's so. Boo! Boo that man.
Boo. Right, so as the championship stands before this race, we'll just quickly go through that. We got Ben in first. We got Dan 2 points behind, so this race could actually change the lead potentially. We got Chrissy in third, about 7 points behind Ben. So again, depending on those three's positions, so the top three are really the ones to watch in this sprint race. Then looking a bit further back, again before this race, we got Bad Robot with 46 points in the Toyota FT1, and everyone else is about nearly 20 points behind Ben. So I wouldn't say they're in the championship running, but again, anything can happen. So the main three we're probably going to be I won't say focusing on, but the main three we're going to be looking at is Ben, Chris, and Dan.
Which just so happens to be 1, 2, and 3. Well, who would have guessed? But yeah, let's get off and running here. We go to the lights flashing up on the screen now, and that's 5 red lights. Which means it's lights out of wait. We go down to turn 1, and Chris has decided that he is not getting off the grid, and neither did Dan, as they head down towards turn 1. Let's see, because Ben has got away rather well. Looks like Dan has got himself up in a second, Chris in third. Yeah, Chris on the inside there, just tagging Dan on the back of the car as we headed through turn 1, and Chris is going to suffer as a result, overtaken by Dens as well. And we'll see, going through the first sector, that's a little bit slidey there from the FT1, needs to get a little bit more control of that, but it looks like the entire grid has managed to survive the opening sector of this race.
Which is excellent. We've got Turbo didn't get quite a good start as he wanted. He's gone from 4th down to 7th. As Pasti, I think, gets overtaken by K10 around the outside. And by the Ferrari as well.
Yeah, Roblox having a little bit of a much more fun time than he was this time last week, I'd say that much. That Ferrari down the straight is going to be pretty hard to overtake in terms of the straight line speed, but he's going to go for it here anyway, as we actually should be going further up the grid, sorry, as Claus is trying to go after Roblox and isn't able to get it yet. Now we're going to go 3 wide by the looks of things, down into this corner. Claus just a little bit deep, but gets that move done. Pasti's going to follow up through, straight into a wall, and almost shoves Roblox off the track entirely.
You do not want to go wide there, my friend, at all. That is a recipe for death.
Yeah, it's probably the worst. Oh, the two McLarens coming together just in front there. Not having a fun time as Filthy's in the wall. Filthy's in the wall there. Now he's dropped all the way to the back. We need to have a little bit further look further up. Turbo Boy and Arfaxid were the two that came together at the end of the bridge there. Turbo Boy losing out to his teammates so far. Claus is trying to get himself situated nice and tightly, but is not able to get onto the back of these McLaren just as yet. We got the car starting to spread out in front.
They are. We got an FT1 and the Mazda that going side by side into the last corner. We see, and the FT1 gets it. I think.
Yeah,
it goes a little bit wide, going down towards the main straight. But here comes the Mazda looking up the inside with its better straight line speed than that FT1, who's going to be better on the brakes going into turn 1. And it's
that's a bit of a tag. That's a bit of a nudge. Yeah, I don't think that's the cleanest move I've ever seen from Pasti. He should realistically have waited and let him back through. But I think we can routinely call that a routine definition of a push to pass.
It is. It is. It's a. We'll see. I think the FT1's got a better drive. He's looking up the inside. Is he going to throw it up the inside? He does.
A little bit of a switchback though. We've got a couple of cars off the track in front. We're going to have a little quick look at what's happened in front here, as Pasti had a nice little switchback against Broomer, as Broomer went too much to the inside, too deep, and kind of gave up any chance of an overtake. Here comes Claus. Oh, Claus has managed to hold his car though, which is impressive. Roblox on the grass as well. Roblox almost losing it a little bit more, but gets past the BMW nonetheless through the corner.
It's great stuff from him. Shall we look a bit further up the grid and see what's happening? Those two McLarens need to start working together to push themselves back up, as we got Ben with a comfortable lead.
From Dan in second, has also just sat there with in a little bit of no man's land with a car decently in front of him, and then probably about the same distance to Chris further back, who almost hit a wall coming onto the bridge. Then Perry in fourth, who's managed to work his way up. Dan's dropping back just a little bit.
If these two McLarens want to score some good points on the board, they need to be working with each other. Bump draft down the straights and try their... Who went wide?
Oh, Turbo's just gone way deep into the corner on the exit of the bridge, and here comes our Baxton. Squeezing his teammate into the wall, which means here comes Roblox, who goes past our Faxon without much of an issue, and Roblox is managing to push his way up the grid just a little bit now. It's much better than what he did in Bathurst. We can say that for certain.
That's much better. That is unfortunate for the two McLarens, because you don't just pinch out your teammates.
Claus has hit the grass! Claus has hit the grass of the exit of the final... Well, in the entrance of the final corner. You do not want to do that. That is, for those who haven't watched Tier 3, a spoiler, how Wack ended up throwing away his chance of winning in the feature. You definitely don't want to do that. It can be absolutely lethal.
K10 get the switch back as he's going alongside. Who's that? Brumber.
Yeah, Brumber's going to have this on the inside though, manages to hold on with the FT1 as he heads up the top of the first sector. He'll take it as it stands. Well, as it stands, it won't be any sort of point, so he needs another position, but he'll take the move on the BMW nonetheless.
He will. I thought K10 was about to go a little bit wide then, but he's bump drafting that FT1 pretty much all the way down, coming up to this little kink before the main back straight.
It's surprising Because the FT1 actually has surprisingly good straight line speed, especially when you compare it to things like the Lexus and the Mazda around it. I'm
It
surprised.
does. Did we have a move back? Oh, K10's got him.
Yeah, on the inside, you're right. On the inside there, as Bruma's going to try and fight this one straight back. Will do, goes deep. A little bit of a hit there on the BMW. And I guess if we're going to call Pasty's one earlier push to pass, then I think we could probably label that in the same bracket.
I think we can, as just behind him we got Filthy and Wesley having a little battle. I think Filthy's just gotten past Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley not enjoying his car choice whatsoever. Bruma's got into the wall now in front, and again, just another mistake.
His race is going from bad to worse at the moment.
Just absolutely hammering him in this season's championship. Bruma, just that one mistake after another. Can't really get it going.
No, he can't. But there's nothing really going on at the moment, is there?
Surprisingly not. In tier 3 it was a lot of people following. This is not even that. It's just everyone just too far away just to make anything stick. So we're kind of just in we're just meandering along, I think, a little bit now.
I think we are. I'm just looking through the mini-map up ahead. Ben has got himself... Well, you could fit a county between P2 and P1, as we've got Dan and Chris going for a little battle. I think we might end up staying with this. I think this is as close as we've got.
Yeah, it is. And, well, we said at the top of the show, these two are involved in a championship fight with Ben. Going into the day, that gap was 7 points back to Chrissy in third. And quite frankly, this is the way they are right now is the current championship order. It means Ben will extend his lead just a little bit more. It was 2 points before. It will be 5 plus fastest laps plus pole. It'll be a what, 7 after this particular sprint race? If this was to end like this.
If it's to end like this, I think it will be about a 7-point gap.
So Ben looking to extend his championship lead just a little bit there. These two trying to avoid a wall as they go on the exit there. It's if you get that wrong, that could completely end your entire race. As we now head down.
A little look. No, he doesn't. He has a little look to try and throw Dan off. Dan's, I think, is a bit too smart for that. And they just follow each other as he kisses the grass there. Is that going to impede him going up this hill, having a dirty right rear tyre for these left corners?
It just looked like Chris turned in a little bit too early there, and he's just going to start to stick behind Dan for the moment in time. Then, as a result, as we go further back, it looked like the guys further back are closer to each other, but they're not exactly making much of a dent.
We got
never mind, I lied. Pasty and Arfaxid are right beside each other. I'm pretty sure Arfaxid was 8th, so it means Pasty made a move at some point. But here comes Arfaxid to the inside. If he can get this right, he does not get this right at all. He could have had a lot more speed coming out that final corner to try and trouble the Mazda, but he didn't. And he's going to suffer as a result. And it looked like Boomer is now at the back with also what happened to Claus.
What's happened to Claus?
He was in 11th, got onto the end of the bridge, nope, just didn't stop the car at any point.
And he's received damage as well on this front, so that's going to impede him through the remaining part of the track.
Yep, you're right, which means he's just going to drop to the back as much as possible. You get a second look at the glorious Arfaxid Pasty fight. We're also going to go back towards Chris and Dan, as those two are close enough at the front of the grid to justify a little bit of a spotlight. We're close enough anyway. Chris just dropping off the back just a little bit. The last lap, 6/10 of a second in Dan's favour.
You know what this race currently reminds me of? This race currently reminds me of Ben being Max Verstappen, where he just qualifies first and pisses off into the distance. We then got Dan and Chris as the two Ferraris fighting each other. And then the rest of the grid is every other current F1 team all jostling for position and just being there. But there's nothing really happening, is there?
No, I would have likened these two at the second and third to Perez and Sainz, but rather than the two Ferraris, not exactly squabbling. You know, the Ferraris have... Oh, Chris just... bit deep. Just a bit deep. The going into the wall there won't harm you too much, provided you don't hit it straight on and get damage. It's more you don't want to, given the fact that it'll just hamper the speed you can take through that corner. That corner, one of the most pivotal corners on the entire track. If you can get it right, there's such a overtaking opportunity into the start of the bridge. But if you get it wrong, well, this happens, and Chris is now going to be a significant margin off the back of Dan, and we effectively go back to how it was at the start of this race with, what, 2 to go? I think it'll be 2 to go, yeah.
Maybe 3. No, I think it'll be 2.
It should be right. 7 races, 7 laps, I believe. It was definitely 7 laps in tier 3, sorry. I don't believe you can get to an extra lap at this point, but we'll wait. I think you would have to be doing something spectacular for, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember if it was 8 or 9, 7 or 8. We'll figure it out. 7.6, however, for Dan is not a bad time, but Ben's 2:06.9 is absolutely incredible. He seems to be dropping off just a little bit in terms of his times.
Ben's just kept it consistent. When we were on him just a second ago, he did a 2:06.9 and he was doing 2:07s, whilst everyone else is doing high 2:07s, low 2:08. So he's consistently quicker every lap. As we got sort of P1, then we got a big gaggle of cars, and we got another big group of cars behind that.
Yeah, our factor got past Pasty at some point, because the Pasty was in 8th the last time we saw it. Roblox having a little bit of a touch with the grass. I love how everyone else's cars have.
Oh, is that Filthy and Wesley side by side a bit further back, as Filthy got a little bit of a bad exit coming out of there and just touched the grass. Wesley looks up the inside. That Supra's just got a bit too much straight line speed for that Supra just there.
I was about to say, the only issue that Wesley's got, he's got great acceleration, and the only time that Subaru has good speed is at the top of the gears. So it's a case of, oh, Filthy's just got a bit deep. Filthy's gone deep, and now they're side by side again. Wesley's got the outside line. Filthy trying to recover himself on the inside, cannot do it. And Wesley is just going to storm on by, as Claude has also got past Bruma in the back of our screen there.
That's excellent stuff from Wesley and Filthy. Has Filthy got that slightly wrong, Wesley would have been in that wall, which is not what you want, like you said, at all. I think Anton had a bit of a moment as well, because Anton was right at the back of this pack, and now he's dropped off.
Dropped off just a little bit from the 3 in front, past the 9th path, back to the 8th. And you know, Roblox in 7th, doing a much better service to his name than he did at Bathurst, I'll say that much, and we'll go through. The rest of the grid right now is just there, I think. Everyone's just, well, 4 through 6 are trying to do something, was just not able to do anything just yet. Chris has managed to get himself back onto the back of that Lexus, like right onto the back of it, and Asseldorf said that he was just slow.
What we're going to see up here, we're going to go up the hill. That Supra in the slipstream's quick down the straights, but it's not nice to use in the corner under the slipstream, as it burns its tyres way quick enough as it is, let alone with dirty air, as he goes a slight bit wide and kisses the grass before this little hairpin bend.
Yeah, oh,
it's a little bit sideways.
I was about to say, that did not look too good. He's got significantly better tyres than Dan has, which is an interesting kind of thing.
That's surprising.
I guess that's pad versus wheel, I'm assuming.
It must be. But I would have thought the Lexus would be better on its tyres than the Supra, considering the Supra's mostly in slipstream at the moment. Yeah,
well, it's not the case. Chris definitely has a better front right. His rear's just... It's rears. I think it's rears versus fronts in this one at the moment. Perry, Dens and Turbo Boy are a lot closer to each other now than they were before. We're still going to have a look at this as they peer into the front of our shot here. Chris is just too far behind.
Dens is getting really close. He's gotten right up to the back of Perry.
Dens needs this.
Has Perry had a couple of mistakes through the lap? Because Dens is right there.
He's got a good run as well. He's got a good run. He's on the outside though, and that's probably not where you want to be in terms of this corner. Because quite frankly, you aren't going to get by if the guy you're trying to overtake is on the inside and in complete control of where he can put his car in that corner. You're just kind of a passenger at that point. Dens is still on the outside, and again, you need to be on the inside just to have a good position for the car itself. We're on the final lap now, I think. We've just gone into the 15th minute. Ben did get a final lap. Dan gets second. Chris gets third. Perry gets fourth by a hair. Dens gets fifth. Turbo gets sixth, just about on the back of him. And then you got Faxon in seventh, who managed to get Roblox, who made a mistake. So we're going to have a very quick rewind to see what happened here.
What's happened here?
So it looked like our Faxon had got him significantly earlier. Maybe a mistake in the final corner of the bridge section. And Roblox, what just happened to Roblox here? We've got, so our Faxon gets 7th, Roblox ends up 9th. Oh, that Ferrari under traction just betrayed him at the end. Absolute betrayal too from the end, and Roblox had gone in 7th for a large chunk of the race and well, just in the end not able to keep it on the track with under traction, and it has to end in 9th. Passy gets 8th. Hasseldor will round out the points and start on the reverse grid pole. Wesley gets 11th. Brummer gets 12th with a 2-second time penalty, so you can drop him a couple of positions back. He actually only drops 1. Filthy gets 12th, and Claus ends up at the back of the grid. Not a good day for the BMW again.
No, Claus is struggling. I think he's struggling with that car. He's a quick driver, he's a good driver, don't get me wrong, but just look at his lap times compared to Ben's. Ben's 206, 207s, and then 1208, whereas if you go back to K10, 212, 209, 212.
A lot of mistakes, I think, is the...
I think it is. Look at Ben's tyres. Sorry, we haven't really looked at Ben at all, have we? But look at his front left.
Gets away with the fact that there's no one else to fight him.
No.
It's been an absolutely commanding race, though, by Ben. No one even got close. Pulled away at the start, and then just said bye.
Again, like I said, it was almost like he's Max Verstappen today. He just got, all he had to worry about was to start in turn 1, and then that was it. It was his own race to lose.
Yep, and he didn't, in fact, lose it. He gets his own victory lap for his troubles as well. He's 1.3 seconds down on his fastest lap, so you can tell he's taking this rather like a victory lap, I think, is probably the best way of putting it, because he is just Sunday stroll through the final lap, I think.
He is. Well, I didn't race this track in Tier 4, so I have no idea what to expect, but I'm just looking at the tyres and the fuel. This ought to be a little bit interesting, I think, for the next.
Oh, I did race it, and I can give you a spoiler if you want, in terms of how this strategy is going to play out. But I think I'm going to keep it a surprise. I think I want to see your actual reaction when it comes to these. Give me replays. Can't delete those, so I have to do that. Oh. Interesting. So why is it not showing up with liveries?
That's interesting.
That is a long time ago, by the way. Jesus Christ. Red Bull Ring and an Alfa Romeo.
23, wow. I mean, I know it wasn't really that long ago, but it kind of sometimes does feel it.
I'll just delete all of it. It should start showing up with liveries now, I hope.
Hopefully so.
Everyone in stream currently watching my inability to control a mouse. It's early in the morning, alright? I'm gonna harp on that the entire time because I am not at 100% functioning right now. I'm still very much
Whilst we're loading up, shall we sort out
good
my
call.
inability to afford things?
Let me just skip right past this so we don't spoil it for the stream. And then we can restart the share play and get you back in.
Let's hope for no technical difficulties.
Let's hope we get this first time, because we tried this 5 times earlier before we were able to get this stream up and running. Hey!
First time.
First time. First time for everything.
There is.
Alright. So,
Interesting.
mediums for Roblox, mediums for Dens, and for Chris.
Ben, was that Ben on mediums as well? Ben's on mediums.
Well, we saw his ×3 tyre wear a minute ago, so I can't imagine why that the man's on a medium tyre. Mediums for Filthy. So it's a rather split look at this one, which is incredibly interesting, given the fact that well, hindsight's 2020. I know what I know now. This could be very This could be a very interesting strategy race. I'm not entirely sure a bunch of people have got this right.
I'm just thinking, well, if 15 minutes on 3 times tyre wear did just about half, if not slightly over half in 15 minutes, those soft runners are going to have to be careful at the 15-minute mark. This is 6 times tyre wear now.
Yeah.
They're going to be dead. If this was last season, I could understand. But then you'd still have to do a mandatory swap, so everyone would just do medium soft.
Yep. No,
this season.
Unless the only thing I'm going to say about this is just take a look in the background at how that pit lane looks. That's all I'm going to say about this.
Oh. I see what you mean. You have to fully commit to that, otherwise you're slamming into a wall.
It's more... That pit lane is a fucking tiny little thing. If you look at where the pit lane extends, we're going to go now, because Asseldor is off and running. But I'm not going to say too much in terms of strategy. I want to see your reaction later on to figuring out how this is going to work. So, Roblox, not able to get...
Look at the inside a bit further back. Sorry, I just spotted something. Who was that?
Let's have another look at the start then. Looked like there may have been a McLaren here. Interesting decision here. It looked like our Pax had a bit of an issue. Turbo Boy having a bit of an issue off the start as well. And here comes Dens, who actually has a livery now instead of a stock FT1. But he isn't able to get past the McLaren.
He nearly swipes the nose off Perry's front car as we got Chris coming up on Dan and Ben, all behind Perry, all jostling for position.
Yep,
Chris is going to look up the inside of Dan, and he gets the job done. Is Dan going to get the switch back? I think he does. He's alongside.
It's very interesting considering these two are fighting with Ben for the top of the championship at the start of this race, and Chris was the guy that was starting in 8th. He's dropped to 9th. Dan gets off to a little bit of a flying start here. Now we go a little bit further up. Perry and Den still side by side. Perry on the inside, Den on the outside. There's not enough speed in the car there for Dens, who goes wide, and Perry is just going to be able to stroll on through without much question. And Dens...
Whoa, what happened with Chris? He just...
Well, we're going to have another look at this. I think Chris has said this a bit too much. Let's have another look. Let's have another... Oh! Is it Ben that causes it?
Let's go on board.
Let's get a bunch of glads for the moment in time, because, you know, we can't do things normally here.
So Ben's got a brilliant corner. He's right behind Chris.
Oh,
he
yeah.
Does.
Oh, Chris bakes early. Ben doesn't expect it, and straight into Perry. Oh, then Chris hits the wall as well.
This doesn't receive any damage, which is quite lucky for Chris, but...
We'll continue to watch from this camera angle. Dan and Ben both going right past Dan without much of an issue. And Ben on the inside here as well. And Ben's all the way up to 6th.
I wouldn't surprise me if that's in the Stewart report room, but I can't see those. We'll have to wait and see as we look a little bit further back.
As Bruma's managed to tack himself onto the back of this now as well. He's going down the inside of his teammate, a little bit of a tag. His teammate not aware of where Bruma was by any means there whatsoever, just turned in a bit too early when his own teammate was on alongside him into the 5-second final corner. It's a very interesting strategy. You don't want to employ that too often. Here comes Turbo Boy, R-Factor and Roblox, as I think that's Pasty who went up into 2nd, has managed to get by a couple of people in the first lap as well.
That Ferrari's forced around the outside. Turbo going to try and get the switch back. He's got a slightly better line.
I think he holds them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. A bit tricky from that camera angle. Looking at the mini map a little further back, we're still fighting for position.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to look at this because Turbo Boy is having a very quick look at Roblox and fighting a little bit further back. Dan on the inside of Ben. Not happening here until Ben hits a little bit of the grass and Bruma is off the track.
Completely off the track. That's not the ideal racing line, my friend, as he loses out a couple of positions. He's now outside the top 10. Is Perry going to have a look? Perry with the overspeed and the drive. Perry, I think, yeah, Perry's got it.
Yeah, he has, just straight down the inside there, a claw directly behind. And Bruma's gone wide again!
What's going on with Bruma?
The tyre is just a bit too warm, I think. With the... Oh, Roblox! Is that Roblox? I think that's Roblox. R-Factor and Roblox, Turbo Boy there as well. Turbo Boy still hanging in, Peachy. Roblox, either way you want to know him. Oh, what the hell happened there? Did he get hit? I'm confused. Did he snap? Did he get hit? It looks like he gets hit, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, but he hit the left side, so why did he spin to the right? If you get hit on the left, you typically turn left if you get spun around, not right. So unless he had a bit of a moment and got tapped.
I'm not entirely sure. I think it may have just been more of the car being alongside that ends up just being a push rather than a spin. I'm not entirely sure what has happened there. Dan got past Ben in the entire process as well. Dan up into 5th, Ben into 6th. It's just absolute carnage a little bit at the start here. As Perry gets past Den as well. Den's having a bit of an issue.
I just had a quick look at those tyres. We're nearly 3 laps into this race, and I'm just having a quick look at Dan's soft tyres and the soft runners in general. It's going to be interesting. I'm curious as to what the soft runners are going to do. I can't see a 2-stop soft being an option here. Unless you have extreme pace, I can't see that being the option. You'd lose too much time in the pits, wouldn't you?
I'm going to stay quiet.
You've got Perry going down the inside of Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley a little bit too deep there. Let's see how Perry's going to have that one. Just a little bit of an issue there for that Subaru, and I think that sums up his entire season.
I think it's going to, but to be fair to Wesley, give him my credit is due. He is trying his absolute best with that BRZ, and he's not giving up, is he?
No, he's definitely growing more into the tier as he goes along, that's for certain. But I think his the car choice as a whole has shot him in the foot.
Which is a shame, really, because if he was in like a Porsche or something, I know the Porsche's tyre wear is bad, but if he was in a Porsche or something, this would be really interesting.
He would certainly be a lot higher than he currently is.
He would be. Was that Chris? just scraping the wall back there as the McLarens, for the first time this season, are in the points in the feature.
Well, in the top 10 for feature, I think Turbo Boy may have had one at the end of Bathurst or something of that nature, but top 15. Top 15 gets the points in the feature, so basically everyone has scored a point at some point in a feature race. But yeah, Turbo Boy and R-Fax are finally in the top 5 for the first time this season for certain.
Sorry, Turbo has got an 8th and 6th before. So for R-Fax, it's the first time in the top 10, let alone the top 5 this season.
Yep, and he's getting a little bit of a nosebleed up there, I think. Oh, Turbo Boy, you don't want to be doing that! Wack will tell you for certain that if you get too far to the outside of that final corner, it will pay off in the worst way possible. Here comes Turbo Boy.
I think it's actually benefiting him because R-Fax didn't look like he got a good exit at all. And Turbo's going to go up the inside. I think that's position. It is position gained by turn 1.
Yeah, he managed to keep the car on track after hitting the grass in the final corner, but able to get past his teammate, and R-Fax just starting to slow a little bit. Turbo Boy has Pasty and Asseldor to get just in front of him, and we got Dan and Ben not that far behind now, just starting to make their way through, making their way onto the back of this pack, which is not good news for the 4 in front.
No, it's not. Chris just can't seem to get that switched on at the moment. Can't seem to get that super anywhere near Ben and Dan where he needs to be to stay in this championship running. Yeah,
he's going to need a mistake or two, or a very good stint or so coming up. Because right now, the only way it looks for Chris is backwards, not forwards, as Perry and Wesley are not that far behind. You've got those two in 8th and 9th. You've got Dens in 10th. Roblox is trying to make his way back after his mistake earlier on. Filthy is going to look to the inside, halt that progress just a little bit as we head into the bridge stop now. And it looked like Roblox
just a little bit too wide.
Yep.
As Filthy just drives past him.
Switchback.
We've got what happened to these two?
Well, Broomer had the incident earlier on in the race off the grass, and it just kind of made him spiral the warm tires and made him go wide just before the bridge section a lap or two ago. And now he's at the back with Claus here, who is also not having a very good day at the office. I think Claus is set for a demotion at this rate.
I think he might be. I mean, his tyres are not looking healthy at all. We're only 4 laps into this race, and he's going to have to look at boxing soon, I think. Yeah. Because he's got even worse tyre wear than the soft runners up front. As we got Roblox having a little look at Filthy, he's right in his slipstream. He's going to keeps it a clean exit. Is that Supra just going to take off down the straight?
Against the Ferrari is going to be interesting. The Ferrari having a little bit better straight line speed than some of the other cars we have on the grid. There's still going to be Filthy that holds on to 11th place for now. Roblox getting a better exit though. So we're going to head up the hill now. Those two aren't going to make any overtakes in this first sector because this first sector is so unbelievably windy that if you go too wide, you might end up in a gravel trap sooner than you'd like to be. And it looked like Perry did get past Chris.
It looks like it did. Chris not having a good feature race at all. He's going backwards. He's back to pretty much where he started, which isn't a good thing for him in his championship running. If we take a little bit further look forward, we got a huge gap between Perry and Ben.
Yep, and here comes our Faxes on turbo. Jesus Christ. Didn't look too clean between the two McLarens there at all, and it might bring Dan into this. He's going to look to the inside. He's going to go for it. And he's got it.
What a move from Dan. Those two McLarens are too busy squabbling with each other and they're not working together at all.
Yep, and well, if you work together, the McLarens could have a... Yeah, the McLarens can do a lot this season if they work together, but they aren't working together, and, well, quite frankly, look what happens when you don't.
Ben's looking at R-Fax as well. Are we going to see him move before the last corner, you reckon?
I think so. Here comes Ben to the inside now, a little bit of a touch. a couple of people playing a fine line between a push to pass and a nice little blocking overtake in this one. And looks like we've got a battle further forward. Turbo Boy and Pasty on the final corner, and look at that. Look at the speed from Turbo Boy on the exit of that final corner.
Look at Pasty's tyres though, look at them, they're shot.
And then you've got the McLarens.
Even with the tyre wear of the McLaren, you still manage to spin it out, and I'm still wondering how you do it.
I'm not spinning out because of tyre wear, I'm spinning out because I'm a twat, there's a difference. I'm a clown, especially in St. Croix, because it was literally, not here, but round this corner, you come down to this little bend that Pasty and Turbo Boy are coming to now, and here is where I crashed, because I hit one wheel too many into the grass at the end of that curb.
We got P1 to P6 is all within close proximity to each other.
We are well and truly in an Asador train now.
We are. So who's going to make the benefit of it? I don't. In the politest way possible. I was about to say I don't think Pasty's going to, but he had a little look up the inside of Turbo Boy then. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up too much with the rest. As Dan and Anton, Turbo and Anton, sorry, get the correct cars, have a little look at each other.
Even then, Turbo Boy's 2 places ahead of Dan, so I'm not entirely sure how that would happen.
I looked at Dan's car, and I looked at Dan's name, but yellow McLaren. I don't know how I did that, but besides the point, we got Turbo all over the back of that Lexus.
Yeah, there's the wrong. You were getting the wrong Lexus earlier. It's Asador and Turbo Boy, first and second in this race. We're on lap 6, and right now, everyone's starting to look into a little. We're just about to see the strategy come into play. I think here a little bit. Here comes. I think we might see a couple of pit stops form in this lap, or if not this one, then the next one. Given the fact the tyres are starting to fall off just a little bit, in comes Asador, and in comes Turbo Boy as well, and this is what I was saying. And now,
top 6, everyone in the top 6 is in.
Yep, and this is just where it starts to formulate just a little bit. Chris has stayed out as he got damage on the medium tyres. We're going to have a very quick look as to how he's managed that. Oh, deep into the final corner. On the exit of the final corner, just plowed himself into the wall, so his damage is going to hinder him now as we got Dens. We've got Wesley coming through as well. Wesley still on the soft tyre, doing a pretty nice job at keeping those tyres alive. And that's what the Subaru is going to be benefiting from this season. Those tyres are all over the place. Well, they're not all over the place, so they're really well kept as compared to a couple of the tyres elsewhere being all over the place.
They are. If he can gain himself just a little bit of pace, I think he'll be in a really good position for an overcut on some of these cars ahead of him. Maybe even an undercut on Dens. If his fight is with Dens at the moment, and if he can get the undercut on Dens, that would be super.
Oh, Chris has gone off again! Just in front. Apologies for cutting you off. Chris had a look. This is what I'm talking about. This exact thing. It's what I'm talking about. It's how I span the McLaren. One too deep and then losing it. That's exactly how I did with the McLaren. He just saved it. I did not, which is a bit of a depressing factor.
I can see how you can do that.
Yeah, it's just a case of wanting just that little centimetre too much. Especially me anyway, because I thought I could carry a little bit more speed and then it immediately backfired.
Immediately, Dens goes a little bit wide and Oscar can't quite seem to get the benefit on that. As we go a little bit further back, we've got Roblox and Just Filthy having a little battle themselves.
Turbo Boy and Asador. Turbo Boy, I think, may have just hit the lead of the race on net P1 in this race now, as he has got himself in front of Asador, and the Asador train has, well, it had left the station earlier, but it's definitely pulled into the station because it's not being used anymore.
No, it's not, as I think Turbo's going to do the strategy, which I don't think is going to be that quick. A 2-stop soft, because he hasn't refueled. He just did tyres and went. I think, have they all just done tyres?
I That's where the moment of realization is. It's just that's the moment of realization, the penny dropping. Yes, the strategy around here is the two-stop. It is the quickest one by quite a significant margin. The pit stop itself is about 5 seconds, if someone could corroborate me in this one. I think it's about 5 seconds total longer than Brands Hatch. So it is a tiny pit stop. You do not lose a lot of time at all in the pit stop in around here at all. I think with fuel and tyres it's like 22 seconds.
Oh, that is quick.
Absolutely tiny. It gives her the option. Oh, and there goes Asador, who's given the position up to Dan. I think that may have just been team orders.
Might have been. Let's have a little look.
Back to the head of Ben as well. Ben had to have a bit of a switch on another set of medium tyres, I think, and yeah, Asador just pulls to the inside.
I think them two are chatting and saying, "You're in the championship fight. I'm not. I'm going to let you straight through. I'll try and follow, maybe."
Maybe I play a little bit of a spoiler bit for the no orders, just Asador being a good teammate. So team orders. So that's the definition of a team order.
But this is what the McLarens need to be doing. The McLarens need to look at the Lexuses and go, "That's what we need to do."
Yeah, and well, in the future, because our factor, there's definitely nowhere near Turbo Boy at this point. Turbo Boy, just a little bit further forward now, has a Filthy to deal with in front of him. Also, roadblocks in there as well as our Faxon, and I think that's our Faxon and Ben are going at it. Ben on the inside, he just got a nice run at this. A nice little overtake on our Faxon there.
What a move. Fantastic move from Ben there. Kept it clean as well, which is good. As someone's gone wide. Who's wide?
Oh, it's Roblox. It's Roblox who's had a bit of a moment. As he goes against Turbo Boy and Filthy here. Oh, it's just too deep.
Just too deep.
Yeah, didn't get the braking. Dan's also had a bit of an issue.
He nearly collected Ben and Antox as well.
Yeah, Faxon and Ben almost in the having a problem there. So, our Roblox just starting to have a bit of an issue in this race. I think Dan has just gone past Filthy, as Filthy's just starting to lose out a little bit now as well.
Filthy's got to come in this lap if he wants to stop losing places like this.
It's just, he's on the medium tyres right now. I think he's setting up for a one-stop, which I said to you earlier, just not enough just not enough time in the pit lane spent realistically to justify a one-stop being a good strategy. You just, especially being on a medium tyre, it's just simply quicker to be on 2 sets of soft. As Asador goes to the inside, as Filthy is having more of an issue. Ben now pushes Asador through the corner. Wesley now goes into the pits on lap 8.
Fantastic stint from that Supra. Filthy's still staying out. I think he's got a is there a little bit of contact there at the end of the straight?
Oh, yeah, you're right. It looked like he pushed Ben just a little bit. He spun himself. Ben continues on with our Faxon now on the outside as Filthy spun into the wall, and Ben, unaffected by the little bit of a tap from the Supra, is able to hold on against the McLaren.
He is. It's a bit unfortunate for Filthy. I think it might have just been 2 cars going into one, as everyone here knows, does not go. As we got someone else having a little look up the inside behind.
We're going to go a little bit further forward as second and the second through 4th are all on the back of each other coming down the straight here, so we might have a couple of moves on the horizon. Here comes Turbo Boy to the inside of Dan there as well. I think there may have been a little bit of a dust kicked up, maybe a little bit of a contact between the two at the back there. As Turbo Boy gets a little bit in the distance now, up in the second, and is in control at this point in time.
This is perfect for Turbo. This is what Turbo needs. Turbo needs Dens to hold up Dan for as long as possible.
I know we're going thing, but I'm just going back. I've seen a lot of dirt being kicked up here in the bridge section. I'm not entirely sure who's the one kicking up all the dirt. That looked like Ben.
That was close.
I think he may have just got away with daylight robbery there.
Daylight robbery? I think he's just robbed the crown jewels under the Queen's nose.
Absolutely, he's avoided absolute calamity, I think, there, Ben, as he's just about survived the hitting the wall, which is impressive in its own right. There's a lot of smoke that came up there. Ben did hit something. He managed to avoid the damage, which is impressive as well. Here comes Asseldor against Dens. Dens just starting to lose the position just a little bit. And Asseldor getting a little bit all over the place, out of sorts, out of the third to last, and Ben was almost squashed off the track entirely as a result.
It goes out. What's happened to Ben? Ben's got really wide through the last corner. As the McLaren just goes, I'll take that. Goes straight up the inside.
Just
go on.
Just a little bit of a moment there from Ben. It's just a last couple of corners just having absolute wayward effect on his race. You don't want to be on the grass way too often here, as we got our Faxed now to the inside of Dens, who's just falling like a stone as Ben also sends it, picks his spot, follows through the hole, and it's an audacious move, but it's a move nonetheless that he's made really well.
He has made an excellent move now. With Dens on this strategy and with Wesley on these, I think he's gone soft if I'm not mistaken, as we'll stay with this for the time being. So we've got a nice big 3-car scrap for P4.
Yep, and it's led by Asseldor with I think it's our Faxed. Yep, it's our Faxed next, and Ben as they head down now into the bridge section. Our Faxed had the inside line, and that's provisionally a better line, as Ben is also going to push him through to make sure there's no doubt about it.
Ben's all squiggly on the brakes. Can the McLaren keep it clean and tidy? He does. That McLaren flashing its lights, maybe he's not too happy about something or trying to distract the driver. I'm not too sure. As we've got the Lexus and the BMW side by side to the other side of the bridge. I think the Lexus has got it. He has got him. But Ben's still there, still got a little nose in. And they're going to go side by side up the hill and up through the S's.
Oh, a little bit of contact again. It's a bit elbows out, I think, between the two of them.
I think it is. I think it's Ben's way of saying, I'm coming through, move. Or it might have just been two slightly different lines. Not quite 100% sure, as we got Ben in the grass again.
Taking a little bit too deep of a line repeatedly through that section. Into the final sector here, into the final couple of corners. And it could come back to bite him eventually, as Terror Boy is now actually in the lead of the race. Chris has come in off of his medium tyres and probably has long since realised that he is on the wrong strategy.
Probably, I think had that been me in that seat, I probably would have. Ben goes really wide again.
He's really loving being a little bit of a lawnmower in this race, on that.
He is. Is he not rotating the car, or can't get the car rotated? That's 2 corners in what? 2 turns in what? 2 or 3 corners that he's gone on the grass.
Yeah, it seems to be the line he wants to take so far. But it is working to an extent. He is ahead of Asseldor. He still has our Faxed in front of him. The only issue for Ben right now is that 2 places in front of him, and therefore gaining 4 of the points back that Ben opened up earlier on. Dan is in second place, 2 places ahead.
He is. Ben's got to pull something out of the bag, or Dan's got to make a big mistake for Ben to really open up his championship lead here.
Yep, and it was 7 points, right, at the beginning of this race we worked out?
I think it was. Let me just double check.
I think it was 5 points he opened the gap, 3 for winning the race. Dan ended second, a pole and a fastest lap. So that would be a 5-point extension. I believe it was 2 at the beginning of the day. Ben getting a little bit too much on the inside there.
It was 2 points at the beginning of the sprint race. So yeah, you're about right. It's about 7 points. You just said, wasn't it?
Yep, 7 points, which means that Dan would have to win this race, and Ben in third or in fourth here. So as he goes on the grass again, it seems to be the line he's taking now. It seems to be an established line where he cuts up a little bit of the grass on the outside, and I'm not entirely sure if this is a good decision.
I don't think it is. You can't risk it. Okay, I know there's only one. Well, there's 2 left turn. There's 2 or 3 left turns before the next right-hand turn, but You just can't risk dirty tyres losing traction, especially in a position like you are now, which is 4th position and in a championship fight.
Yep, it's still early in the season, so one mistake wouldn't be the end of the world, I don't think, but it is going to be a case of if he does make that mistake, then Dan will be in the right place at the right time to take advantage of it.
He will be. As you keep saying, every point counts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, especially when you're that close together in a championship fight. Here comes Perry the inside of Pasty, or it looked like he was trying to go to the inside of Pasty, as these guys are still on the, well, they're trying to tack themselves onto the front pack, but it seems to be a front 7 and then everyone else at this point in time.
It does. They've almost got an entire straight gap between P7 and P8. K10's gone from pretty much last to 8th, which is good for him at the moment, but has he stopped though?
Oh, Perry a little bit deep.
Wide.
Yeah, playing wall ride with the wall instead of actually driving the corner as you're meant to take it.
I mean, it could be like that NASCAR driver that did that wall ride strategy a couple of years ago to get into the playoffs.
That is fair, and then NASCAR banned it immediately, because of course they did. But
America does what America does.
Yeah, we are lap 12, which means we're about to see the second part of this two-stop strategy play out. There's not going to be a lot of... some people are going to go for 6, 6, 7. Some people have decided that 7 at the beginning was good, and some people will have decided that now, well, at the end is the best time to do 7 laps. But for now...
Here comes Turbo. Yep, Turbo coming in with 1% fuel. Look at that.
Yep, Dan's also coming in, and here comes the rest of the grid that follows him. Hasseldor is going to stay out, and this is what I was saying not that long ago, where some people have decided that 7 in the medium stint is a good idea. Bearing in mind, this is probably going to be a 19-lap race for the guys at the front of this grid. It's going to be a very interesting one at the end. We're on lap 13 here with Perry as well.
Just looking a little bit further back on the mini-map, so Turbo's going to come out in P3, which is good for him because he's going to be in front of Chris. So does the Lexus, so does that McLaren, so they're all going to be in front of Chris, which is on a reasonably fresh set of mediums.
It's a medium for Chris, which is an interesting strategy all in its own right. I don't think that's going to work.
I'm not sure. Because he's already losing out to the McLaren through this S section.
Yeah, and while Ben behind also Ben had a longer stop by the looks of things, had to fill up a little bit more, put on soft tyres as well. Wesley is now starting to put himself in a little bit, but unfortunately for Wesley, he decided to one-stop this and go soft to medium when he, quite frankly, should have done soft in that Subaru. He would have had tyres for days.
He would have been able to do quali lap after quali lap. As Pasty just seems to drive around the outside of him, that superior straight line speed of that Mazda, but Wesley's still there. Is he going to do him on the brakes and in the corner? No, not quite. I reckon he could have thrown it in there a little bit. It's got the brakes, it's got the grip, but not quite this time, as we got the Wesley-Denz fight going to be coming up quite soon, I think.
Yep, got Claus and Broomer at the back of the grid as well. Those two are joined at the hip in this race.
They are. We've got Filthy not too far behind them as well, just coming into that corner just there.
Just going to continue. We'll watch these two until the end of the straight before the rest of the grid turned into the final sector.
Anton and Perry come in. I think they will, won't? Yeah, they will. Perry's in.
Well, Hasseldor is in, and Perry is going to join him. So you're right. They're on lap 13. They've done their stint. 7 laps was the second stint, exactly as I thought that would be the case. Some people varying the strategy up a little bit here. The top 6 following each other, but Perry and Hasseldor just going a little bit on the alternative compared to the rest of the front pack. We'll see how that played out.
It could have been the Lexuses could have split the strategy where had if Anton came out ahead of Ben, then it could be that Ben and Anton would fight like Mad and Anton were trying to do a Checo to Max back in 2021 and hold him up for as long as possible to give Dan the best opportunity to push forward.
But he didn't, and now he's out significantly behind. Behind Ben, who's got Chris. Has a bit of a battle. That did not look too good on the exit of that corner there from Ben. The BMW sliding a little bit.
Just a little bit. It struggles a little bit on the exit traction, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, especially in the lower gear. The BMW, especially second gear, has an absolute tendency to absolutely murder you if you put too much down. It's surprising that it hasn't actually happened. Also, Hasselhoff saying that was the plan, but it didn't go well. So he has the same line of thinking as you did, but it would actually require him to be somewhere near the BMW for that to even work.
Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't quite get the pit stop all the times he wanted. Ben was just a little bit too consistent and too quick, I think, for that.
As he comes down the inside.
The inside of Chris.
Yeah.
There's no battles, it's goodbye, I'm coming through, my good sir.
Didn't even, Chris's medium tyres to the soft tires of Ben, they didn't even stand a chance.
No.
Also, speed minion
if Chris can stay on the back, if Chris can stay on the back of Ben with 10 minutes to go, Ben's tyres might drop off quite a bit to allow Chris to come back in. So if Chris can stay with Ben, we might have another P4 fight.
Yeah, the problem being that on the medium tyre compared to those soft, especially when you're talking about the fastest man in the grid over over any given lap, you see a 7.5 there from Ben, a couple of tenths slower than Turbo, but Turbo's got the clean air obviously. Yeah, you can't really stay on the back of someone who's the quickest over a single lap and on a softer compound of tyre than you. That's not. That's an ask and a half from that point of view, from that point onwards, and you can already tell that it's not going to happen.
So we got Turbo Boy in P1, closely followed by Dan. Turbo Boy and Dan aren't really pulling away, are they? They're in clean air. They're a bit of no man's land, really, aren't they? They're not really pulling away.
No, but I think Turbo Boy will not give two shits right now. Considering he's the one in the lead of this race, and he's in the car with the best tyres. So he's in a very convincing position right now.
He is. If he can just keep it together and not make any mistakes, he will grab himself a first victory for the McLarens this season with his teammate in P3, as it was very close to the barrier just then.
I was about to say, McLaren's not making mistakes, and Faxon almost buried himself in a wall immediately, and I think also Chris having a little bit of a fun time going a little bit too deep on the bridge as well. So we'll figure out what's going on. Ben is just touching grass everywhere he goes at this point.
Is he collecting souvenirs for his maiden victory, you reckon?
Maiden feature race victory? Nah, never in a million years. He ain't winning from here, I don't think. No, there's no way that both the McLarens, he's bearing in mind Ben's tyres are going to fall off a cliff because he's on a pad, compared to other people who are on a wheel, and obviously wheel superiority when it comes to tyre wear.
This is true.
So I doubt Ben will do it from here. He would require a significant amount of fuck-ups to win from this point onwards, I think.
Anything that can happen. This is France.
I'm not entirely sure what France has got to do with anything. But he is getting really close to our factor now. He's definitely got the pace while his tyres last, Ben, who's just picked up yet another fastest lap, so you can cut that gap between the deficit a little bit more, considering Dan's currently in second without a fastest lap, and he's currently getting 22 points for this, 18 on offer for Ben, 19 with the fastest lap, so it's only a 3-point cut-in, so 4 points in the championship as a whole at this point in time, as we watch Ben go against our Faxid, and now to the inside of our Faxid, and gets our Faxid rather easily there, no questions asked.
No real battle there, as he just kisses the wall. Is that going to bring Arfax straight back into it? He's going to have a little try. No, he can't do it around the outside there. Is he going to try and switch back as Ben gets it a little bit squiggly? Coming out onto the bridge. Is Arfax going to try? He's going to tuck in the slipstream. I don't think he's going to. I think he's a little too far back. He's
going for it. Oh, you had a look for it. Yeah.
A bit too far back. Now, the question is, can Drifty Ben keep it on the road and keep his tyres long enough to stay in that position with 5 minutes to go? I think he can. I'm not sure if he's got the tyre life though.
Well, as it stands, it's 1 point. The chunking into the gap by a singular point here, Dan, because Ben now into second, getting 21 of the 25 points available, well, max 26 points available in any given race, any given feature race, shall I say. And Dan getting 22 just up in front, so Dan needs to get in front and get in front of Turbo Boy, otherwise that gap is going to be extended from what it was at the beginning of this day.
We got Chris and Anton quite close to each other, just coming into turn one as Anton has a little look. Not quite going to make it move, but Chris doing a good job holding up the other Lexus here, even though the Lexus is on softer compound tyre.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job. He's surprisingly not fallen off as far as we may have thought, given the fact that we are effectively 1, maybe 2 laps from the end of this race. Hasseldor just not having the pace to get by Chris at all. Chris will not be too happy with his performance today, given the fact that his 7-point deficit in the championship is probably almost certainly double figures now.
Probably I'll have a look at the end of the race, but at least the damage is not too severe. At least it's still currently still in the top 5. If he can hold it, then it's not going to, damage isn't going to be anywhere near as bad as what it could be, as we are going to Fuji tomorrow, where going down the main straight, that Supra is going to be gone.
We go into Fuji tomorrow, aren't we? Last time I checked, it's fucking Saturday.
I clearly don't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good at this point. Everything just blends into each other at this point. That's what I feel anyway. Going through everything in this one, our factor is still on the back of Ben. He needs Ben tyres to fall off a cliff sooner rather than later, just for him to even sit a chance for a podium. But you won't get a podium if you're doing that too many times.
No, you won't. If we have a quick look at Ben's tyres for a second, please. Thank you. Yeah, his tyres are about to drop. Look at his front right.
Yep, and he's going to get to lap 19 as well. They're about to cross the line for start lap 18. So he's going to have no tyres left on that car by the end of this race. It's going to be a fully red tyre. It might even be a fully red tyre by the end of this lap. Never mind the end of the race.
I think it's going to be just at the end of Sector 1. Look at it. It's dropping so quick through these sectors.
It also doesn't help that he's been cutting grass with it the entire day.
No, it does not help.
It's,
every blade of grass does not add as a horsepower, I can guarantee you.
Well, in fact, it's a little bit wobbly there on the exit. Maybe a little bit too much for him. He started to collect a little bit of grass as well. As we're continuing to go through, Turbo Boy's got a good advantage to Dan behind, and then Chris is just hanging in here with Hasseldor. Somehow hanging in here. Hasseldor should make easy work of this down this straight. The Supra has got a lot of straight line speed. I'm not sure I would have pulled out that early, especially given the fact that, yeah, now the Supra is just going to try and hang on to you the entire way, but Hasseldor on the softer tyre avoids the switchback as well, and it's a great little move there from Hasseldor.
It is, and Perry's going to come into this picture as well. Perry on the softer compound tyres. He's going to make easy work of Chris. Not in this corner, he might look for the better exit, try and get the drive down towards the end of the bridge.
He is going to do that because he has got a better exit. Is he alongside enough to go around the outside of the bridge here? Is he going to do it? He's going to try it. They're still side by side. Chris is just ever so slightly in front. A little bit of a switchback attempt from Perry. Tries once, tried again, and the door is shut very quickly there by Chris.
It is, but Perry's on the softer compounded tyres, so he can just throw it around the outside somewhere. Is he going to have a little look? No, he's not. Chris holding on, doing a beautiful job on those medium tyres, isn't he?
Yep, unfortunately for him, he's running out of time, and the rest of the grid's tyres are not falling off a cliff. We're going to go back here a little bit and see when our Fax had overtook Ben, and there it is. Ben went deep in the exit of the bridge section because, well, quite frankly, he has no tyres left.
He does not. He's going to have one horrible lap to follow. He's got no front left. He's got no real front right. He's about to have no front left as well. And as he's in the grass as well, so it's just insult to injury, rubbing more salt in the wound.
Yep, and he's going to have to try and hang on to our Faxes with all his might here, essentially, because he has to be putting in a lap or two, or a great lap here with no tyre. I see this, and I want the days of punches to be brought back.
God, if that was the case, then everyone would be driving so differently.
Oh, of course, no one would be trying the dead tyres, because as soon as you get a dead tyre, bang, tyre's gone.
It'd be nice, Gran Turismo, if you're listening, add it. It would make things really interesting.
To be fair, it used to be a thing, as we are now on the final lap, and that means the final 3 cars will not get onto the final lap here. We're going to actually take a look at those 3 cars. Boomer in 11th, Claude in 12th, Filthy in 13th, and Roblox just never recovered from his mistake earlier on. He's going to end the race in 14th. Wesley in the top 10. I think that might be the first time he's done that.
Let me just double check, and if so, that's an excellent drive from Wesley. And we got Turbo just commanding his lead even more.
Yep, and it's been a very comfortable drive here from Turbo. Got the strategy right. Definitely got the strategy right, and it's definitely been helped by the fact that McLaren had the best tyres on the grid as well. So he has always had the tyre life to go. Dan, not so much, who's got a dead tyre. Ben, also a dead tyre. Our Faxid is driving for his life at the moment as well, as we're going through here on lap 19, and we're into effectively the final sector of the entire race. And we're going to continue to go through with the McLarens, who have driving into the final sector for the final time. Got a couple of corners left to go. Will it happen? Have they finally turned up? It's taken the race free. Nothing happened in Austria, right at the back. Nothing happened in Bathurst. Turbo did all right, but nothing happening there. But in Croix, the tyres and the McLaren has finally showed up, and Turbo Boy is going to take the win for the first time this season here in Croix. Dan gets second, our Faxon gets third, Ben gets fourth. The gap cut into, I think, 3 points. It might actually be a little bit more than that. Might be a bit into 4 points. Hasseldor gets 5th. Perry gets 6th. Chris gets 7th. Overtaken a couple of times. Pasty ran out of fuel right at the end as Dens overtakes him for 8th.
The Mazdas again not learning to count. Peaky made the mistake. I think it was Peaky made the mistake at Bathurst, and now Pasty made the mistake here.
And Wesley made the mistake as well, who just drives over in 10th for without fuel as well.
Oh, such a shame that Right, so the current pre-Stewart standings are, we have Ben still in position 1 with a 4-point lead. There's only 4 points in it. With Dan in second with 95 points, Ben with 99, and then in third we got Chris with 78. There is a 17-point difference between Chris and Ben.
That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. That is
20. Sorry, I can't count. Sorry, 21-point difference between Chris and Ben. We got 17-point difference between Chris and Dan.
That is not good news for Chris. That has been a bad day at the office. The wrong strategy. The wrong everything essentially.
Yeah, he didn't have a fantastic day from the looks of it. I mean, he did well. he did well. He got third in the sprint, obviously, as we saw, and then he got seventh in the feature. So I think once he realised that the soft was the best strategy, I think he just realised he was on damage control.
Yeah, and it's just one of those. At the end of the day, he has to come back fighting in Fuji in a week's time.
It is. We got Bad and Perry with 1 point difference. So the battle for P4 in the Drivers' Championship could be interesting on the next race at Fuji on Monday in 2 days' time. Not tomorrow, Monday.
You're going to end up turning up for a race tomorrow, even though there isn't one.
As they say, easy win.
If everyone else isn't there, you drive by yourself, I guess.
Exactly.
Can't go wrong.
We got in the constructors standings, we got the Lexus with 148 points, with the BMWs at 109. So the Team Lexus is taking off at the moment with almost a 40-point gap, which is quite comfortable, I'd say.
Yeah, it's certainly comfortable at this point of the season. However, from what I had last season, I can definitely tell you that kind of gap disappears very quickly if you let it.
It does.
Next few races, they've got to start controlling it and getting the gap to increase rather than letting it slip away, because it can come back to bite you really quickly. And well, we've got a couple of tracks coming up where the Lexus is not going to be particularly strong, I don't think.
No, I don't think they will. Well, as I mentioned, we got Fuji, which is the first one. The main straight, they're not going to be anywhere near some of the cars. But some of them, maybe like the midsection, maybe Sector 3, they probably might start to shine a little bit. Laguna Seca, I think they'll be quite strong there. It's more of a twisty track. Le Mans, well, as you probably remember from Season 12 in Tier 4, Le Mans, both the Lexuses got P1 and P2.
It's the fuel in Le Mans, though, isn't it?
It is. As my old teammate, underfueled by half a lap, which really sucked because we could have used that win there, but ultimately mistakes happen. We got Tokyo and we got Monza to wrap up. So there's tracks where the Lexus, as you said, will thrive, and there's going to be a lot there, which I don't think the Lexus is going to be as strong. But as you just said, it's the fuel that they can just run and run and run on fuel.
Yeah, and they have to they have to make that count during the next few weeks. But I think that brings us to an end. I think that's everything we had to cover in for round 3 here at Tier 2. I will eventually get to Tier 4 comms. I swear. The real question is when that's going to be the case. It might be Wednesday. I might do it now. It depends how much time I currently have. But yeah, I think that brings us to an end.
It does. It's been a really good race, actually, to watch.
It was much better than the sprint, I'll give him that.
The sprint was kind of a bit like, and here comes everybody in a single file, whereas this one was a lot more interesting since the different strategies played out differently.
Yeah, and it was quite funny to see your reaction to a two-stop. You slandering the two-stop the entire time without realising that it's actually the quickest version of the race.
Oh, wait, I get it.
But yeah, nonetheless, we'll see you guys in the next stream in a bit.